Wow, you guys heard that?
This is new. Yeah,
That's brand new. All right, we are live. That was brand new, literally. It's been a few weeks, kind of like the dead air time of the NFL offseason, which is upsetting. But we are back with what are we doing today? Power rankings and just looking over the schedule in general.
Yeah, we can look over some team schedule.
Post-draft, like post-free agency, power rankings, how the teams are looking right now before everything starts up.
Yeah, hopefully, like not too many injuries. And obviously, injuries are part of the game, but hopefully, no serious injuries. That's not going to obviously going to happen, but not to our teams at least. All right, I'm going to pull up the rankings for PFF. We'll start at the bottom. So I actually don't have the Lions at 32.
Do you have them at 31?
I have them at 31.
Okay, yeah.
But here's what I'll say though, like I actually don't like a lot of teams that are ranked 32 I'm not that excited for, but I actually kind of am excited for the Lions. Like not in terms of like wins and losses this year, just I feel like they have a good offensive line and like they have some nice pieces in places. Like I don't feel like they're going to only win like 2 games like the Jets and Jaguars did last year. I feel like the Lions might actually win like 3 games this year.
Is that much more generous though? How much more generous is that?
Well, I mean,
how generous can you be?
Better than going 1-15 or 2.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like how generous
as of right now, though,
when you look at that roster.
I understand like they have a good offensive line and defensive line. Like that's what they built this free agency, right? But who's Jared Goff throwing to?
No, and that's a problem. That's why I only said 3 or 4. Like that's like.
And just because they addressed the defensive line too on the defense, that defense still has major holes in it.
Yeah, major question marks. That's why we're only saying 3 or 4. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be as bad as the Jets and Jaguars were last year.
Yeah, game's difference though. You're just as bad.
Yeah, but like
either way.
Yeah, but look what the Jaguars are throwing out there last year at quarterback. Certain games, I don't think the Lions are going to be quite that bad. But I do feel like the Texans might be quite that bad if Deshaun Watson doesn't get his situation cleared up. So obviously, I have them at 32.
It came out yesterday too with the Texans and Watson that he still wants to be traded despite all of the legal allegations and all that.
Yeah, I know. But what team? There's no team that's going to be trading for him unless everything gets cleared up.
So is he just not going to play football this year?
Yeah, I think we've been like gearing toward that for a long time.
Well, we were gearing towards that, like being put on the commissioner's exempt list or something like that.
Yeah,
and not because nobody would trade for him.
We already ranked our draft as like an F or a D. I can't remember what we did, but Davis Mills with their first pick in the 3rd round.
If somebody trades for him, though, it would have to be Miami as the favorite, right?
For Watson?
I don't think so. I don't even think they're going to even be looking at Watson at this point.
Yeah, I just think they're maybe next year. Like if Tua doesn't work out this year.
But I'm saying what other team would be willing to throw like Watson level capital right now?
Well, no one's going to throw the Watson level capital.
No, I'm not saying this summer. It's not going to happen this summer. But I'm saying like any team in the league, if they were to do it, I feel like it would be Miami.
Yeah, Miami's one of them. We always have situations where like we don't think a quarterback is a need for the team, and then every year there's teams like 5 to 6 teams switching quarterbacks because there's not that many elite quarterbacks, very good quarterbacks in the league. So like Denver's definitely an option if Drew Lock doesn't work out this year, assuming Watson gets his thing cleared up for next year. I mean, all these teams in the bottom 5 are probably going to need quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know.
The thing is, I think the Eagles are ranked way too low. There's no way every team is better than them besides the Lions or Texans. There's just no way. Even with Jalen Hurts, there's no way.
I definitely have the Eagles, not at 30, but like maybe 28. That's
actually exactly where I have them, Ryan.
28. 28. Yeah,
on my list.
The Eagles have a good roster. It's just very like aging. And I just don't know about Jalen Hurts and the quarterback situation.
Just do they're not that much. They're always fighting through like injury travesties every single season.
They're just a better version of the Lions for me right now. Like I feel like the Eagles are getting their offensive line back, right? So they're not going to have issues like they did last year with Wentz, right? They did a lot to get better at wide receiver. We know that finally. And if Rager can take a step up this year, like the Eagles are certainly better than the Lions. I'm just comparing like their offensive line specifically. And the Eagles, I do have questions about their defense as well. Outside of like Darius Slay, don't love their secondary. But they have a pretty good defensive line, like they usually do. But I mean, do you think the Eagles are the worst team in the NFC East, Peter?
Right now, yeah. I do think the Giants just have a better roster than them.
So who would you put like at 30?
At 30, I would probably be. See, the thing is, I don't want to disrespect and the Giants are too low also. I don't want to disrespect like the rebuilding teams like the Bengals, Jets, and Jaguars because they will be improved. But we'll take a look at the Jets schedule too at the end of the power rankings. I just think it's a tough schedule, and the record's not going to reflect where the team actually is. I think it's going to be like greatly improved compared to last year, the Jets. But I just think the schedule is so hard, and you have so many new pieces, including a front office, like like your coaching staff, quarterback. Essentially, Beckton's been there for a year already, but he didn't play all the games, right? You have Elijah Vera Tucker there on the left side. Receiving core is all new pretty much except for Crowder, right? And it's just everybody's new there. New system on defense. I'd probably put the Jets at 30, only because being generous, I took a look at their schedule already. Being generous, I see like 5 wins for the Jets. I think they'll be a better team than what 5 wins show, but I just think that's what they're going to be able to do this year.
Well, like this is as a team, I can't say that I'm putting the Jets at 30 and then having like the Bengals or the Jaguars above them, bro. Like just as like a team, like built as a team, the Jets are better like positionally.
I just think the thing is I would have to look at. I don't think I looked at the Bengals schedule.
I'm talking like leave schedules out of it though. Like I'm talking like pure talent on the roster. The Jets have more talent on the roster than the Bengals and the Jaguars do.
Definitely that more than the Bengals, but
even the Jaguars.
I love that Jaguars draft.
Outside of the Jaguars star-studded QB, like and CJ Henderson, what are you getting?
The running backs.
Too, but like I'm telling you, dude, no, there's no way. I can't put the Jets under those teams.
Their running backs, their secondary. Yes.
Well,
I had the Jacksonville
secondary is not just take CJ Henderson out of it. Everybody else.
I had the Jaguars at 30, but like they're interchangeable with the Bengals for me. For like the 29 and 30 spot.
I have the Bengals at 30.
Yeah.
And it's because Burrow's probably not going to be 100% even if he does start the season. And I don't feel like the Bengals got drastically much better. I feel like they actually got worse on like defensively. Now, obviously, Jamar Chase is going to make a big difference. Like I'm excited to watch the Bengals offense every week. They're kind of going to remind me last year, but obviously they're not going to have Derrick Henry. Kind of like the Titans were last year, where the Titans defense couldn't stop anything. I don't think the Bengals are going to win as many games because they don't play in the AFC South and they play in a tough division up in the North. So like they're going to have issues winning division games, of course, but like I just feel like they're going to have that kind of season where their offense will score points, but I just feel like their defense won't be able to stop much. And then of course,
my thing is, I'm fine with having the Bengals at 30, but I can't have the Eagles at 30 because I do think they're better than what we see right now, 27, 28, 29. I think they're going to win more games than all those teams.
Yeah, but you think they're actually the better team? Like, who cares about like the wins? If it's only
no, I'm going based off of wins, where they're going to finish in the season.
I'm going like talent, like how the roster's looking.
Oh, well, you can't do that because I'm biased because I'm going to have Jacksonville like 20th.
You're crazy.
Oh yeah, you're not.
They're not going to be the 20th best team.
I just
love their roster.
Jacksonville is like teetering between 29 and 30 for me with the Bengals. Like if you want to interchange those two teams, you could, but that's just how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, I have Jacksonville at 29. That's where they are here. I do think they're going to win more games, probably, than teams like the Jets, the Bengals. Who's John? No, okay. So
the thing is, this is like a tier for me, right? Like this is the worst tier in the league in terms of power rankings. So however you want to rank,
rise only because the division they play in sucks.
Yeah. So anywhere you want to rank the teams, like from 27 to 32, like that's a tier for me. So however you rank them, I'm not going to criticize you for it, but I wouldn't have like any team from the 26th pick according to PFF and higher in this tier.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, mine are all like interchangeable, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Like Jacksonville for me, probably out of all these teams, have the best chance to like get a wild card spot.
Agreed.
Right? Because of the division they play in, I think the Titans actually got worse, especially offensively. They definitely
took a trade for Julio Jones and they shocked the whole NFL.
Yeah, I still have questions about their defense, so even if that happens, well, that hasn't happened yet, so we'll see.
I'm saying until it happens, dude, watch. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I still don't trust the Colts. Like I'm not a huge Carson Wentz guy. I used to be, but like I've almost given up on him. So like I'm not that overly excited about the Colts. So I'm gonna have them probably lower than you guys. Not here, but like it's coming up in the next tier. And then who's the other team? The Texans, yeah. So they're not. So the Jaguars have like. I feel like the Jaguars are going to win at least 3 division games this year. They could be teetering on 4 if Trevor Lawrence pans out and stays healthy. And I haven't seen the rest of their schedule, but if they're winning 4 division games, they're probably going to be in the middle of the pack team, which is a big improvement for the Jaguars.
That's another thing with the Bengals and the Jets, right? So like the divisions that they play in, it's going to be hard to win at least half of your division games.
We were talking about this the other day, Peter, how the Jets, like, even though they drastically made improvements, like you guys had a great offseason.
I still have 4th in that division.
Be like the bottom of the NFC, up the AFC East, just like based on the strength of your division.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. But then
Which
again,
sucks because you guys really put together an amazing offseason, dude. Like, I'm very happy for the Jets.
I mean,
if
the bottom of the AFC East equals like 6-7 wins, and we're only below like the Patriots and Dolphins by a win or 2, that's a great year.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's gonna be that kind of year, Peter. And I don't think you're gonna be right with 5 wins. I feel like the Jets are gonna at 4 are gonna win 6 games this year.
Look, I hope so. I want them to win 7 games. I don't think 8's realistic, but if they could win 7, I think that's a huge improvement. Going from 2 to 7 in one off season with all the different changes you guys have.
I have the Jets.
The biggest question for me right now is the secondary because you guys really didn't do nothing to address it.
Oh yeah, well, we can't fix everything in one off season.
No, I know. But
I have the Jets next. As much as I like their team, and it's much better than it was last year. Secondary is still an issue, right? All these new pieces. Zach Wilson still has to play. I'm not going to anoint him like we kind of did with Darnold way too early. But if Zach Wilson pans out, which I think he's going to, because like this team, especially this offense, the Jets offense is actually going to be exciting this year. Like there's going to be games where we score actually points and score touchdowns, which is going to be weird. But yeah, I have them right here. I don't think they're going to end the season at 28. I have a feeling the Jets are going to be like in the 20, this range, 23, 22 by the end of the year.
I put the Eagles as 28. I have the Jets at 27.
Okay, so I have the Eagles next, right after the Jets, the 27.
All right. Scroll up into the next tier now, 26 through whatever.
All right, can I say this is kind of low for the Giants? I hope you guys agree with me. This is pretty low.
I agree with you, but I also think it's extremely low for the Panthers. The Panthers are going to be too low. The Panthers, I'm letting you guys know now, are in my top like 15.
Let me see. So I actually gave let's see. I'm giving the Raiders here. I know they're like ranked 18th for PFF. I don't really care. It seems like and I feel like the Raiders are going to win like probably more games than the roster should. They seem to do that every year, but we just kind of know what happens with them toward the end of the year. I don't feel like they got like much better, right? They lost a lot of offensive line pieces, even though they got Leatherwood. I know. It's the same problem with the Raiders over and over, right? They don't really spend money wisely in the offseason, and then their drafts don't really address many needs. So I feel like the defense still didn't get better, and they're playing in a division now with like, the Broncos are getting healthy. We'll see about Locke, but even without the Broncos, even if Locke's okay, like you're playing Herbert and Mahomes. So I feel like it's very clear the Raiders are the worst overall roster in that division.
And look, even if the Broncos get off to a rough start, you have Teddy there now. So not that Teddy's a superstar, but he could win you more games than what I think the Raiders' current roster can.
Free Derek Carr, bro. That's all I have to say about this roster.
Look, last time we saw this kind of roster behind Teddy, he went undefeated with the Saints, right? So he's not a slouch there.
I don't think this roster is quite as good as that one, but it's actually really good. Especially like
but I think he's playing with a better team than he did in Carolina last year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, like they got a great wide receiving core. Noah Fant even stepped up last year. Do you guys agree?
I agree with you.
Do you guys have
Raiders at 26.
So I actually have the Falcons next, and I wouldn't have had this, but it feels like Julio's on the way out. It's a matter of when now. We heard the phone call with Shannon Sharp. I don't think that was supposed to be on live air, but no players are going to go on next time their show because of that, or they're not going to answer his phone call. But I don't care. Atlanta. I actually liked what Atlanta did this offseason. I feel like they did get better, but it feels like, when you're losing Julio Jones for the future, they get a first, second, okay, we'll see what they do next year with all, the picks. But for this upcoming year, I like their new coach, Arthur Smith. It just, without Julio, it just seems like takes away a lot from that. I was excited to see like.
I mean, you have Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts.
I'm still excited to see that, but I wanted to see 1 year of like Julio, Ridley, and Pitts because like who would have stopped that? Even if they would have gave up, that would have been ridiculous. But because they're probably not going to have Julio, and this is only for 2021 rankings, I'm going to put them here. And I still feel like they're going to have a good offense, no matter even without Julio. It just had the chance to be like elite, which I don't think it can be now.
I think Falcons' identity is going to be the same. It's going to be the same because even though they had a decent draft, they still like added some pieces on their defense too, which was a huge problem for them. Mm-hmm. It's still Matt Ryan's another year older, like you said. Like I don't even think like losing Julio is obviously going to be a big deal, but Julio doesn't play half the time anyway, and when he does, like for half of those games, he's only a decoy, right? So I don't know how much improved they're going to be. They're not going to be obviously picking at number 4 again. They'll be better than that.
Yeah,
but they're going to be the same Falcons. They're going to lose to teams that they should beat, and they're going to upset teams that should blow them out. They do it every year. They'll lose games to like let's say the Bengals of the world, right? Like the bottom half teams, but then they'll go and like put up a fight against the Chiefs or surprise somebody, like beat the Steelers, like a really good playoff caliber team.
Because Atlanta's talented. We always know this every year. We always like, even when we talk about matchups every week, we're like Atlanta have a good offense, and they do.
Also, nobody's also talking about this. They have no running game right now. Mike Davis is their starting running back.
You seen the squads though? Bigger than Saquon's right now.
Yeah, dude, he's huge.
He texted out that he can't fit in like jeans anymore, which is hilarious.
All right. Well, when you have no running game and you're losing Julio Jones, I understand that you think the Falcons offense is still going to be good. They're getting Kyle Pitts. They'll still put up points, but I'm not ready to call this defense above average yet. I'll call it average at best.
It's below average, to be honest with you.
That's fair. And without an above average defense, you're not going to be able to outscore teams in the NFL right now because I think the whole NFL got better as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree with this spot for them. 17 is
just way too high.
17.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So my actually next ranking, what number are we at? We're at 25, right? Or no, 24, right? Because we skipped over the Giants.
Yeah, we did Raiders and we did Falcons.
Yeah, so 20.
For me, it's Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say Minnesota here.
Really? You guys don't like the Vikings at all?
Not better than a lot of these other teams. You know what I mean?
No, you know what?
I have the Bears here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, let's put Chicago there just for the fact that we can't assume that Justin Fields is going to start from week 1.
He is.
I do think.
He is going to start.
I don't think so. You think so?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, 110%.
If Fields starts from week 1, I think they have a better chance of finishing with a better record than the Vikings and just being a better team. But the next 2 picks is going to be those 2, NFC North teams for me. However you want to flip flop them, it's just in terms of the Vikings, right? So we're at the part of the Kirk Cousins era there where we've known the fans don't want him. That's been evident for years, but now it's almost as if the front office sees it too, which is why they were willing to take Justin Fields at 14, right? If he was there. So they see it too. They added a piece on the offensive line in the draft, which was good, right? I'm still waiting for Dalvin Cook to play a full year. I don't think it's going to happen again. He's still one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's still going to put up numbers, be one of the best again, but you're not going to play all the games. The defense, I don't think, has gotten better. I actually think it's getting worse. And the best thing you have going for you right now is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I might have the Vikings here. I didn't think so going into this. Like, I actually really like the Vikings roster. We always had questions about Kirk Cousins. I do feel like they've definitely gotten better. Especially, I felt like they had a pretty decent draft as well. They were one of my kind of favorites, middle of the pack, but I feel like they got some impact players. But they do have a lot of questions about their secondary. It's a very young secondary, so we have to see if everything comes together. And we still have questions. I don't know if Hunter's getting traded or not. There hasn't been a lot of stuff since early March.
Last we heard, though, he wanted out.
Yeah, but it's been really relatively quiet since that.
I assume that he's staying. So as long as he's staying and healthy this year, I feel like he's the biggest difference maker who did not play last year. So if he plays this year, I feel like they're going to be around 18, 17. I think he's that much of a difference maker to make them jump from 23 or 24.
I'm fine if you want to put the Bears below the Vikings just because look at let's start with their offense, right? Okay, they got Tevin Jenkins, which was great, right? but you still want to see better, maybe a guard play from them, right?
Yeah,
It's not 100% that offensive line,
which is crazy.
I like David Montgomery, but I don't want him to be my workhorse running back. I want a speed running back who could hit a second gear. I don't think David Montgomery has a second gear. I just think he's more of a powerful back at this point. You look at the receivers, right? Allen Robinson, we're assuming he's going to be there for the whole year. But after him, you have Darnell Mooney, your deep threat. Anthony Miller's on the trade block, who are your receiving options for Justin Fields. Or Andy Dalton. If Andy Dalton starts, I don't think he's going to win a game. And the defense that we saw that was number one in the league a few years ago, even though it's pretty much the same names, I feel like it's getting progressively worse. And I don't know if it's because every year they seem to be on the field longer than the year prior or what it is, but Khalil Mack's great, but he hasn't looked like Khalil Mack of the Raiders, I don't think. And whenever he does have his dominant game, right, that we see that he still has, he'll follow up the next 2 games with average games.
And then I agree. I actually think Hunter's been a better player than him.
Like, yeah, so you can't rely on the Chicago defense like you did 2-3 years ago to win you all your games and win you the division. It's just not going to happen again. If Justin Fields starts and, you know, brings that kind of charisma and like, oh, we have a quarterback we could believe in finally after all these years, right? Maybe there's that element to it that could win some football games, especially if Aaron Rodgers is not in the division, right? But these next 2 teams, it's Minnesota and Chicago for me, however you guys want to flip-flop them.
So I have the Vikings at like the bottom and then the Bears on top of them.
Okay, that's fair. However you want to flip-flop them.
So I had the same thing. Well, actually, no, I had the Bears ranked below them. But like those games usually come down to like the last couple drives anyway. So then at what, 23? 22, no?
23.
If the Chargers, we had 2 teams here, didn't we? Or no? Like Bears and Vikings?
No, I think it was 25-24 was the.
Okay. So then I have the Panthers there at 23.
Oh, no.
See, I have the Giants at 23.
Okay. I have the Giants.
Well,
yeah.
Give me why I said the Panthers, right? Because I know you're not a big Daniel Jones fans, but Sam Darnold still hasn't played a snap for Carolina, right? I can't rank a team very highly if I don't like their quarterback. Yes, I feel like Darnold's going to be better, but like he's still going to make the boneheaded plays. I'm almost going to bet the Jets beat them week 1 just because Sam Darnold. So I feel like the Panthers will win 6-7 games, but they'll be let down. It'll be kind of like last year. They're in a lot of games, and Darnold will just let them down by a turnover, something crazy. So I feel like they're going to be a good team. I just don't feel like they're going to be like. I feel like this is where they belong.
You got to imagine though he's in a better situation, so we might not see the same Darnold.
No, you'll see a better one, but you're still like you can't take something out of someone.
Yeah,
let me go second. And then Markel will ultimately decide where we place them because Ryan's putting them at what? We're putting them at 24, Ryan?
23.
Okay.
Which
I have them in my top, like from my, I won't say 10 range, 12 to 15 range.
All right, you're crazy.
Can I tell you why I like this team so much?
Yeah, I mean, I like their defense too a little bit.
Yes, NBC power rankings over here, man.
No, okay, let's start on the offensive.
20 talking about the Panthers in the top.
Let's start on the defensive side of the football because that was their detriment last year, right? So let's start on the defensive side. The problem with the defense last year is not that they didn't have good players or great players because they do on the defensive side of the ball, and they only added to that in the draft. But it was that they were all rookies. I think they were the youngest team in the NFL, like starting players in the league. And it's not even like that they were like complete garbage. They were still putting up fights in games. They were just losing close games. All their games were like close games, which again, that's the offensive detriment because Teddy Bridgewater couldn't get the job done in the fourth. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, it was nationally televised, the Chicago Carolina game. Teddy Bridgewater game-winning drive and throws a pick when he's like at midfield. And I think he might have, I don't even think he needed a touchdown. He might have just needed a field goal just to go into overtime. Anyway, the defense is getting a year older, right? So all your stars, Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown, any stud that you have on the defensive side of the football. Free agency, they address their linebacking core, right? So I think their linebackers, they have side-to-side linebackers now. That's going to be a huge improvement for the defense. And I know you guys saw that video on Twitter of J.C. Horn already making plays at rookie minicamp. So the problem with the Panthers when you watch them, especially being in the NFC South like I am, is you see them often, right? They played primarily a zone defense for so many years, and that was their detriment because any single time they faced a veteran offense or a veteran quarterback, they would just get picked apart. Their zones would always get picked apart. You draft J.C. Horn now in the top 10, and you could start implementing more man defenses, which I think they've been drafting towards that trend the past 2 years. So you're going to have an incredible front seven, I think. I think they're going to be vastly improved, the front seven. And I think the secondary is going to be vastly improved, especially when you start implementing more man because you have more man-style players. So your defense is already going to be better. Just wait. I'm getting into address the offense now.
Well, wait,
I don't care if you don't like. All right, question.
You're counting. You're good. I like the thought, but you're counting on a lot of players taking like the next step and like rookies playing.
They don't have to be superstars. I'm not banking on them being superstars. I'm just banking on them being better than last year.
No,
if
yeah,
they're better than last year, then that's a great
up.
Improvement.
Oh yeah, we have them higher ranked than PFF. They're ranked.
They're like 27. Yeah.
But that's just the defense.
I'll throw you a better question, right? Like besides Taylor Moton, right? What's their offensive line looking like? And tell me what the major difference is between Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater. Like they both can't throw deep.
Okay. So
Sam
here's
Darnold
my thing.
Make more mistakes.
You could have went Rashawn Slater in the draft, right, to address the offensive line like a lot of us thought they did. So they're not going to have a top 10 offensive line in the league, nothing like that, which is why I don't, obviously they're not going to compete for the division, I don't think.
Yeah, so
but I do think that they compete. I think they could compete for a wild card spot in the NFC. At least compete for one. If, I'm not saying they'll win it, but they'll be in the race. They'll be in the hunt towards the end of the season. Because that team we saw did not need, a top 10 offensive line to move the football. They were moving with Teddy Bridgewater. He's not a gunslinger. He's not any of that. He's more reserved, more check down, right? So you still have, now you're going to have a healthy McCaffrey, right? And even if McCaffrey doesn't play the full 16, 17 games, I like the running back they drafted, Hubbard, right? I like your running back duo, okay? You could still check it down with Darnold. Darnold's not afraid to check it down.
That's all he did last year.
Exactly. So, but that's good for the offense. Now you're not playing with Adam Gase anymore. Now you're playing with Joe Brady. Yeah. So whatever Sam Darnold has in him, he'll get the best out of that. And even with his turnovers, which I don't think he's going to have as many as he did in New York. So even with his turnovers, I think they'll be reduced. I think his touchdowns will go up. You still have, the familiar face of Robbie Anderson. You still have I don't want to say his number one option will probably be Robbie, but you have DJ Moore there still. You lost Curtis Samuel, which is fine. You drafted the kid from LSU. So you have your 50-50 ball receiver now, Terrace Marshall.
We'll be able to use him. Like Mims, they'll just waste him.
No, you can't say that in Joe Brady's system.
The quarterback will waste the talent because he can't hit a deep ball and save his life.
I don't know.
But
I think
this hit at USC.
You're not gonna get New York Sam Darnold. I think you're too traumatized with what you saw.
I'm not traumatized because the same issues from USC just that they got magnified in New York.
Yeah, because you had no
the thing
development.
Yes, Darnold
had regression.
He'll be fine at checking it down right to McCaffrey. That'll all work. But when you need him to make the big throw, like 40 yards down the field, he's not going to hit it. Robbie Anderson was burning people here in New York, and he could not hit him for his life.
I understand, but the Carolina offense doesn't need, big plays, 40-yard plays to win a football game. We saw it last year. They didn't have that last year.
They did, right? Those were the moments Teddy let them down because he couldn't do it in the last drive.
But they were winning games without that. They were winning games moving the chains.
They were winning games very early on in the season, and then teams caught on to what was actually happening. They were just getting picked apart underneath, and then the Panthers got not exposed, but
I think you're really underselling. I'm not going to say you're underselling Darnold's deep ball because he hasn't shown us that he has that in his arsenal.
Darnold is by far a bottom 5 quarterback, just throwing it deep. He's probably bottom 3, if we're being honest.
You have Teddy above him?
They're both like neck and neck for the bottom. So like if you want to put Darnold one spot ahead of him, go ahead.
I don't know if there's one spot difference. I think there's a few spot difference between them.
Yeah, in arm strength, of course, but I'm talking about accuracy. Just go watch Darnold any game. Like 30 yards down the field, he canthink can't do it.
Ryan, you're comparing Teddy Bridgewater, who's in the latter half of
I'd actually rather have
now.
Teddy throw it deep than Darnold.
See, I think that's an over-exaggerate. I think that's Jets fans PTSD talking.
No, I'm telling you that as a honest fan who watch every single game of both, well, not both of them, but like
I'd rather take the young quarterback prospect who hasn't shown anything because of who he was playing with for, right? Adam Gase, and taking any kind of untapped potential he may have. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, top 15 quarterback, top 20 quarterback, but if you're the 23rd best quarterback in the league, you're going to win football games in that system.
I mean, Peter does have a point. Adam Gase kind of does ruin talent. See Ryan Tannehill.
You're supposed to get better. He regressed.
But the thing is, though, like
there's not going to be a regression here.
Tannehill actually not obviously took a different step up in Tennessee, but like just when people are calling him a bust, that's false. Like just go look at his stats and go look actually how he played in Miami. Like before Gase even got there, he showed potential. He had like 2 good seasons under Joe Philbin. Like Darnold had nothing. Like I hate that comparison.
But Darnold also had to go through the process of switching up, head coach after head coach.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying like we didn't not fail him. Like we went over this a million times. I'm just saying like to put the Panthers in the top 15 teams.
To be honest with you, Ryan, you kind of did convince me to put him here at 23 and slide my Giants up another spot. So
that's where I have the Giants next.
So I lost the convincing argument.
Nah, look. Like I liked all your points, but the only thing I just don't like the fact that we have to bank on Sam Darnold showing something. We have to bank on all the other players taking.
Well, it's not even banking. It's just natural progression because there's absolutely no way he could be worse than what he has been in the NFL yet.
No, but he
system with this team, there's no way he could be worse.
But he could be the same.
Yeah, he could be slightly better, but still broken. So
I don't think he could be the same.
It's like
I think it's impossible for him not to be a better quarterback in the NFL.
That's what I said.
What's around him right now?
And then look what happened.
No, he doesn't have to be a superstar, like a super improvement, like giant step
that's
up.
Why we have them at 23. It's still a pretty good team.
I'm saying for Sam Darnold's sake, I think it's impossible for him not to be better.
Yeah, which I agree with too. I'm just saying, like, how much better?
But that's the thing. It doesn't matter how much better because as long as he's better, it's going to be better than what the Panthers were last year. And I think that's better than a lot of teams in the NFL.
And we'll see. I don't think the Panthers are much better than these teams above them. We already moved the Raiders and stuff. But yeah, I have the Giants next. I still have some questions about the Giants. I mean, you can talk about this, Markello, like primarily because you're.
Yeah, my biggest question: quarterback. What the hell are we doing? Why haven't we placed the call on Aaron Rodgers yet?
This is where like the quarterbacks get really like into the picture for me because like a lot of these teams like Denver, right? Denver should not be ranked in the 20s or 21, but I just have no like faith or confidence that like Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Sam Darnold are gonna like actually. I'm sure they'll get better because the teams got better. Like, how much better are the quarterbacks going to be?
This is his make it or break a year. You know what I mean? Like there's literally no excuses at this point. The offense is stacked. The defense was playing very well last season, so there's literally no excuses for Daniel Jones to be bad. Mm-hmm. I think that's like the only drawback on this team as of right now is what the hell are we doing at the quarterback, and we still have a little bit of spottiness like on the offensive line and even like our linebacking core.
Yeah, honestly, I would have preferred if you guys went like, I know Ryan wasn't high on it, but I would have rather you guys gone like Micah Parsons in the draft, if possible. Obviously, it wasn't, but
I still like the pick. I like how we made out of the draft. You know what I mean? Like we set ourselves up for next year. We got a receiver that we needed. It wasn't, Devontae Smith that we wanted, and then we ended up sneaking Azeez Ojulari in the second round. So I really can't complain.
Look, yeah, I loved your draft, and let's not forget the Adoree Jackson signing, right, in free agency. I think that was big because you're not asking to be your corner one, right? So I think even your defense got better from what it was already last year, which is amazing, right? But your offense got significantly better, and that was the problem last year, right? So you have to figure with your defense getting better, now they're only going to be, again, even greater because they're not even going to be on the field as much because it's impossible for your offense just not to be as good. Even if Daniel Jones doesn't take that step up and he stays the same, there's just too much talent around him not to move the chains.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones could move the chains. It's just a matter of
packed out. We have like 4 receivers. We have 2 tight ends that he can throw to. And then he has Saquon Barkley if he really needs to fall back on anything. So
you want to see Daniel Jones improve in the deep ball, right? And in the red zone. That's really what you want. And now you have your deep options, right? You have Saquon Barkley back, so you have your running game back. You have Kadarius Toney there now, right?
He's like the over the middle kind of guy for us. And then
you have Kenny Golladay, and Kenny Golladay is going to be the main red zone guy.
I would hope so. I would sure hope so.
I think it's going to be him and Saquon.
Yeah. Even Kyle Rudolph. I think Kyle Rudolph was brought in like as a red zone target.
That's fine. Is he going to be starting? Like, is he ready to play the first?
Dude, to be honest with you, I would rather have him start over Evan Ingram.
No, I'm saying his health wise.
There
was something.
Definitely got to look into that. I'm not sure, but I think I would rather have him like talent for talent against like Evan Ingram. No way, man.
You should have traded Evan Ingram last year before the trade deadline when he could have gotten like a second round pick for him.
Yep,
we funded Evan Ingram for our offense. We need some like talent.
Bro, I'll ship them to you for free.
All right, send them over. I'll take them. So yeah, I agree too. You kind of brought up all the main points. Giants are a much better team. There's just still some questions that we need to like figure out. But to have them ranked this high, I think is like way more generous than PFF.
Yeah, bro. I was kind of upset when I saw that 26. I was like, bro, we're at least like in the 21, 22, like 23 range.
So my thing is now, if we're doing this tier now, we did the Panthers, we did the Giants, we have to put all the other teams who are similar, where you have the great roster around you with the quarterback question. So right now I'm looking at teams like what you said, Denver, right?
We already had the Raiders bottom. I'm actually putting the Dolphins coming up after this.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's the teams with the question marks now. So I'm looking at the Denvers. I'm looking at the Miamis. I'm looking at the Washington's going to come up. I think they're better than those teams. I think Washington's going to be more towards like the 15 range, but they're coming up, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we can all gear them, put them on the next three. If you want to just talk about all three of them, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say the Cardinals too, not because
I don't think the Cardinals are that great.
Yeah, me too. So like,
honestly, I think they might be slightly worse than what they were last year.
So do I, and I don't like Cliff Kingsbury. I'm actually gonna have the Cardinals at 19, I think. Okay. So what teams we're looking at? Denver, right? Washington, the Cardinals, and the Dolphins.
It's all pretty much the same teams with all of them. Take out the Cardinals because they know they have a quarterback. But like Washington, Miami, you have the great roster. The defense is phenomenal, right? I think for Washington, the thing is with the NFC East, you can never pick the same team to win it twice. We know this. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody's picking the Dallas Cowboys, but I just can't see, even with the Dallas Cowboys, I think the Dallas Cowboys have pretty much the same problem that they had at the beginning of last year when Dak was healthy. You have an amazing offense. You're going to move the ball. And then your defense is just going to give it right up again. I don't think their defense got that much better.
Yeah, not for nothing. If anybody else was my quarterback, like anybody else in the world, bro, I would be confident saying that the Giants are the second best team in that division. But just because we're stuck with Daniel Jones, like I can't confidently say we're going
to. Giants could realistically win the division.
I think this division's open just because of
even if Philly got
people in the division.
Think Washington has it for sure.
I don't think you could say it for sure. Like I favor them.
I'm favoring them a little bit. Just like for now.
Dallas.
I don't know, man.
And it's not because I don't think Dallas have a better team. I agree. I think Washington's better. Just no one ever wins the NFC East twice. Like Fitzpatrick's been actually pretty good the last 2-3 years. I'm just not sure when is Fitzpatrick going to show back up. Like this might be the year where now expectations are kind of on him again. Because like last year and the year before, there's no expectations. Dolphins rebuilding, right? Last year he's coming in basically to save Tua. But now like leading into the offseason, there's a lot of like expectations on his shoulders. He hasn't been playing well. I'm going to take Dak Prescott over Fitzpatrick any day of the week. Even the recent Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, 100%. That's fair. But just to defend Fitzpatrick a little bit, I think this is the best team he's played for since 2015.
No, yeah, Fitzpatrick's been good. I've been giving him credit. Like the last 2-3 years, he's actually been like consistently.
I know, but I'm saying like he's been good with less talent. I think this is the most talented team he's played for in years.
No, I agree. I'm just saying
offense and defense.
I just think I don't know. I feel like CeeDee Lamb year 2, right? Like Dak actually healthy this year. I know they're still gonna have problems defensively. Like they're not gonna win. You're not going to win 12, 13 games, right? This is probably going to be another dogfight. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as it was last year, where like, how many wins did Washington have to win the division? Like 7, 8? I feel like one of these teams might get 9 or 10 because obviously there's an extra game this year as well. So, but yeah, I have all these kind of teams. Well, not Dallas. We'll put Dallas in like right above these next 4. Yeah. But I still have major questions about them too. But just to gear it all, like we'll just kind of talk. We already talked about Washington. Like Denver, I feel like I've said this a lot. I feel like they have a top 10 roster in the NFL. It's just specifically Drew Lock, or Teddy Bridgewater. Like I'm not a huge fan of Teddy either. So like to me that they I think they should have taken Fields. I think that's a massive mistake. But Denver's actually a really good team. So can they be, if Drew Lock pans out, could they be all the way closer to the 10s in the season? Absolutely, if he pans out. But for right now, like we still don't know. That's basically it for Denver. Denver got a lot better though in the secondary this offseason and defensively.
I know. I think you touched on it too. Like even though like Patrick Surtain's a great pick, you have to think with Mahomes is still young, right? Still in his prime. He's gonna be in his prime for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert, second year, he's only gonna keep getting better. If you took Fields with the roster you have now at that pick, you wouldn't have to you'd be in that conversation with the Chiefs and Chargers. I think it would be up for debate who would win the division each year. Because even though Mahomes is Mahomes and they did what they did to the offensive line, they still have the question marks on defense, right? That's an exploit. That's where you can exploit them. But even if you weren't to win the division, like you're still a favorite to have a wild card spot in that division with those rosters. So if you took Fields, like I think you'd cover yourself for the next 10 years. And I'm higher on Lock than you guys are, but I still think there's a chance they replace him at the end of this year. So you're going to be looking at a quarterback next year, and you're going to get stuck because you're going to draft a rookie who's going to be miles and miles behind Mahomes and Herbert now.
Yeah, or Denver might be able to get a veteran.
Aaron Rodgers, cough.
That kind of team, like maybe.
I mean, you got to imagine who else is going to really put a package together for him.
I don't know. If Denver can get Aaron Rodgers like they got Peyton Manning toward the end of his career, that would certainly this is the roster to do it. To go win.
The thing is with that is it depends on what Aaron Rodgers does, because just based off the timing alone, if it's right now, there aren't that many teams that could do that. The Broncos are definitely one of them. But if they wait till the end of this season, I think half the league would be willing to take Aaron Rodgers and make packages for him, including the Giants. Because you want to see all the teams that are experimenting with their quarterback, they want to see what they have, like the Giants with Daniel Jones. So once you give him the year and Aaron Rodgers is still available, if he's still in Green Bay, then I think those teams put packages together.
Yeah, that's what's probably going to happen. There'll probably be a lot of interested teams by the end of the year going into next offseason.
But do you guys even think that they're going to wait that long?
I don't feel like it's a Julio situation. Like it could be, but I feel like Julio is definitely out. But for Rodgers, I just feel like it's kind of like a lot of like talk right now.
Yeah, and I don't think
anything's gonna happen.
If he doesn't get traded in the summer, I don't think like quarterbacks, let alone that stature of quarterbacks, get traded at trade deadlines. GMs don't make like pressure decisions like that. I don't think when it comes to like an Aaron Rodgers type of quarterback, you're not trading him at the trade deadline, like before 3 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever it is. So I feel like it would be either like right now in the next few weeks, which I don't think is going to happen, or it's going to be at the end of the season.
Agreed. So next team actually have the Dolphins. So we have them like way lower than 14. Same kind of questions, right? Tua. Still have questions about their offensive line, even though they did like address it or tried to, right? With the last 2 years. So I'm going to say this now. I actually think the Dolphins had, like, this is going to sound crazy, but almost too many wins last year. I don't feel like their roster actually reflected like 10 wins. Like they went 10-6, right? I feel like they got much better than they were the year before. But like, I don't feel like they were actually a 10-6 team, right? And now Fitzpatrick's gone, so like it's all on Tua now. I don't think Jacoby Brissett's going to be able to come in and save him like Fitzpatrick did. But I actually do think Tua is going to get better. And just like I just have a question of like the ceiling. So I actually have the Dolphins ranked as like the 18th team or the 19th, whatever we are at.
Okay. Yeah, I don't fault you for that.
Really? Damn.
My thing is, I think they might be better than the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know. Cowboys here.
I don't know if I'd put them under the Cowboys.
Like that's why.
No, yeah, I understand the quarterback, and even the offense as a whole is better than Miami's by far and away.
Yeah.
Even with the additional Waddle and all that, but I think there's just such a difference between coaching staff and defense. That
I'm definitely taking
separates the two.
McCarthy. You guys know I don't like Mike McCarthy, but
and the defense as a whole, I just think that gap is greater than the gap of offenses.
Yeah,
I'm not having them like spots ahead. I just say like if you're gonna have, let's say, what number are we at? Call it 18.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have Dolphins at 18, then I would have the Cowboys at 19. Or if you have whatever.
Do the other way.
I just have it one above.
Yeah. I just have
not a big deal though.
Cowboys at 17 then, just because.
Yeah, you're right about everything you said though about Miami and the concerns.
Yeah, and just going on Dallas, right? Like, I do feel like out of all the positions in the league, quarterback is the biggest difference maker. And I do feel like Dak Prescott, for me, is like, he's closer to the top 5 than he is to 10 for me. I feel like when he's healthy, he's super, super good. And their offense is actually like crazy. Like their 3 wide receiver sets, especially if Lamb takes that next leap too. And I don't even feel like he had a bad rookie year. It just kind of went under the radar after Dak got hurt because, Dallas were dealing with Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton. So it wasn't like the fireworks it could have been with Dak, which it was the first month of the season. And I know it didn't translate to wins, right? Obviously, their defense was awful. So you have to see, like, we still have questions. That's why they're not in the top 15, right? That's why. But I do feel like Dallas are going to be at least, assuming Dak's healthy, I'd be shocked if they did not win 8 games or more. 7's like the floor for me for Dallas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So obviously we put Atlanta all the way down. The
This
Cardinals.
next one has to be the
I mean,
Cardinals.
look, granted, no one really knew.
Yeah, I actually have the Cardinals ranked lower than Dallas. So if you want to put the Cardinals at 18 and Dallas at 17, I'm fine.
Really, I actually had the Cardinals like one above them.
Okay, so we're in the same tier, just a little bit.
It's the same tier. We just flip flop the teams.
Yeah.
The thing is, the defense is going to be a lot better, but I think the offense actually might be worse.
Yeah, which is crazy because like I don't know, like I love Kyler Murray, right? We love DeAndre Hopkins. Like they're gonna have some good fantasy games. We know this. Like it just Cliff Kingsbury is not a great coach, so I feel like he's actually holding back the offense. The offensive line didn't get like drastically better. Like I don't think they did anything like to really improve, especially the running game. Besides Kyler Murray, right? Last year we had a lot of like, I know people blame Kenny and Drake, but there really wasn't that many holes like to run with. There's a lot of like tackles for losses and like 1 yard gains. They're just completely, handicapping the offense. And I still don't love Arizona's defense. Like I feel like it's good, right? There's some good pass rushers and some good depth, but I still have major questions about their secondary outside of like Buda Baker.
Look, that's definitely fair. They're definitely going to need help and their secondary is like putrid right now. So that's understandable. And that's why I think their defense is going to be better just because front seven wise. Secondary is definitely going to hurt them. They definitely don't have a top 10 defense by any means.
Yeah.
And with the offense, I think, like you said, Cliff Kingsbury, I think it was like surprising and fun to watch, right? His first year, Kyler's rookie year. And now I don't know if it's the league figuring him out or he just runs the same sets and the same like schemes and plays. But you could, even as a fan watching, it just looks repetitive on the field. It's a zone run, it's a quick slant, or it's Kyler Murray running the ball.
Yeah.
And I think teams figure that out.
I think it's more of what you said, like teams are just figuring it out at this point because like every time they snap the ball, the play breaks down within like the first 3 seconds. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on them to run the ball, right? In terms of running backs, Kyler Murray always finds a way. And I feel like if you could do some kind of contain, like I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when you rush Kyler Murray from, I forgot which side it was, if it was the left or right side, it's usually like Hopkins is usually lined up on like the left side of the field. So if you also rush him from the left and make him throw across his body, if he's running right, if you're able to keep him behind the line of scrimmage, the play's dead essentially. And it's a repetitive offense. And I think, especially in that division, getting a lot better. You have Stafford in the division now. It's going to be nearly impossible to get better than what you were last year.
Yeah, I feel like they'll be like an exciting team. They'll just be they'll kind of like let you down. Kind of similar to the Panthers last year, but just more explosive offensively because Kyler Murray.
And they also won a few games last year, like
the Buffalo game where they won it on a Hail Mary.
Like you're not going to get those kind of like last second wins or last 30-second wins.
You can't rely on repeating that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So my next team actually at 15, I have the Titans.
Okay.
You know what it is? Like I feel like they've definitely got worse offensively. I don't think that's an argument. Like you lost John Smith, Corey Davis,
I throw a wild card out there.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
So they're coming up for me soon. So they're coming up. They're actually in the same tier for me as Tennessee. But Tennessee, I feel like are highly overrated, right? I feel like they've definitely got worse offensively. I don't think that's like I said, I don't think that's a question. They definitely got better defensively. Like they, last year was a mess. I just feel like, especially Arthur Smith, I feel like he's going to be the biggest loss for this team, right? That's what was working for their offense the last like 2 years. And I'm still like, Tannehill, I feel like still going to be decent, like Henry, no questions there. But I think they have the worst wide receiver 2 and 3 in the league now. Like I feel like unless Julio gets traded here, I feel like it's just AJ Brown because their wide receiving core right now is literally AJ Brown, Des Fitzpatrick, who they took in the 4th round, and then Josh Reynolds. So outside of AJ Brown, I feel like it's going to be almost easier to game plan for Tennessee, right? Like obviously you got to stop AJ Brown now and stop Derrick Henry. It's easier said than done, but I feel like it's almost manageable. You can do it for one of them instead of like having Corey Davis and John Smith in the field where you just really couldn't like it was hard to almost like take one player out because then you kind of like leave the other guys open. So,
but now you don't have another threat to worry about.
Yeah, and I only have them ranked as high specifically because their division sucks. If we're being honest, because I actually
they're gonna win games.
I feel like they don't actually. I feel like they're actually not that much different than some of these teams we had like ranked right here. So, but I feel like Tennessee actually got worse this offseason, even though they got better defensively. If that makes sense.
Well, even the additions they made defensively are question marks, health wise. What were you saying, Markello?
I think the Steelers got worse than Tennessee did this offseason.
I'm with you. I think I'd put Tennessee maybe one above the Steelers, but
I mean, I actually have Tennessee like 1 or 2 above them, but
just like Ryan said, I think Tennessee might like make a wild card or just because of the division that they're in. But I won't be surprised if the Steelers just plain out miss playoffs this year. And I don't see anybody saying that. But I'm with you, Markello, on like being that low on the Steelers. I'm not saying they will miss I won't be surprised if they miss the playoffs.
Okay. So, I actually have the Steelers, I believe, next, right? Because 2 of the teams.
I have the Steelers high for them, dude.
What? No, not 12. I mean, for PFF. I have
them that's what I'm saying. Like, PFF, like 12 is really high for them.
I think we have them. So, we had Tennessee at 15, right? So, I'm going to put the Steelers at 14. I agree with you guys. Like, I still have questions about Big Ben, right? I didn't really want them to do that, even though they kind of like almost had to with the contract. I didn't love their draft. Like, you guys know my stance on taking a running back in the first round, even though I think Najee Harris actually will get like 200 touches this year between carries and catches. So I feel like he actually will be the lead guy.
They do the same thing though. They're just going to take their running back, beat him into the ground so he can't run no more, and they get rid of him.
And not only that, it's like they don't have the offensive line they used to have to be able to like actually do this effectively. I hate their offense coordinator. Like, he does like everything check down. So like they're not going to be that like fun to watch either, even though they have like I don't want to say extreme, but very good talent on offense. Like, the receiving core is very good. But major questions about the offensive line, right? And their secondary is kind of old. Like Joe Hayden's kind of like in his 30s. They lost Nelson. Like, it's not that they're bad, but like, their defense definitely died down last year after Bud Dupree got hurt. And I don't think it was just like the impact of Bud Dupree. It was just like kind of like almost their flaws coming together, right? Because they lost a lot of linebackers too, like Bush. I think Spinelli got hurt too, so they were just losing depth all over the defense. So like I feel like they actually have a pretty good defense, but it's not going to be like as good as it was like because the year before they went like 8-8 specifically because of how good their defense was. And last year I felt like they repeated it at the start of the year, but then it kind of like died down toward the end. So I feel like it's I feel like they're going to kind of do the same thing, like somewhere between 7 to 9 wins. Maybe like I feel like they go 8-9. I'm going to say 8 at the very least, assuming Ben stays healthy and like we don't see Dwayne Haskins come in.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. The next team for me, I think we jumped them enough. Like, they're going to be greatly better, but this jump is high enough as the Chargers. We have to finally place the Chargers.
Really? I'm still not ready to put them here.
Really? I think 12 is a perfect spot.
I would put the Patriots here.
Yeah, I have the Patriots first and the Chargers.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
So I think the Patriots are a better team than the Chargers because, Patriots have one of the best offensive lines in football. They added a lot of different like pieces all over the roster. But when we talk about like other teams getting new players, the Patriots are near the top of that list for certain positions. So we're just assuming it's all going to work. So we still have to that's why I'm putting the Chargers above them because I trust Herbert more than like Cam Newton or
100%. Yeah, I'm with you.
But if the Patriots ended up winning more games, it wouldn't surprise me, right? Because they have Bill Belichick as a head coach, always in the lead special teams. But the Patriots for me are definitely they're kind of the boomer bust here, right? Because they could definitely be better if everything pans out, and because they added a lot, like we said, but they could also be like closer to the 20 range.
Yeah, they could be really bad if Cam has a really bad year, but
if Cam or Mac Jones comes in and he just like is below average, like the Patriots could easily be with teams like Denver, where like the roster's good, but like the quarterback stinks, But the Patriots are like the team we're giving them the free pass to because like we just kind of always assume and trust. But I'm not so sure they're actually going to be. I don't want to say as good, but like because last year they actually won sneakily like 7 games, which is kind of crazy with everything that happened in the roster. So I feel like the Patriots will win at least 7 again. But I feel like it's going to be a different kind of 7. Like last year's kind of almost under the radar. I feel like this year they're going to probably win 8 or 9 because they're a tough division.
Like if you won 7 with that roster last year, And then you look at what they did, where they just basically looked at their whole depth chart and they said, okay, we're just going to assign one of every position.
They definitely added talent. It just like there's always years like that where teams kind of like do that, right? And then for the next year, it's almost impossible to repeat because of how because of kind of the games they won. Right, like the Jets the year before went 7-9 with Adam Gase. Like it's possible to get some like weird wins or outlier wins. I'm not saying that happened specifically to the Patriots. I'm just saying they certainly got better than last year. I'm not willing to like concede that. I'm just saying like I'm not sure they're going to win like 10 plus games this year. I don't really see that. I see like 7-9, like I said.
See, my thing is the reason why I had them over the Chargers. Let's talk about the Chargers a little bit and the additions they made. Right, you drastically improved that offensive line. That offensive line is really good now, and that's what you needed for Herbert because that was the biggest downfall last year for him. Right, you're getting Austin Eckler back healthy. Your receiving core is going to be healthy. Your defense is going to be healthy. Derwin James, right? My problem is that it never stays that way. The Chargers. I can't remember the last time, like, ever that the Chargers, even back when they were San Diego, were healthy. It had to be the year they went with Philip Rivers to like the AFC Championship game. That was the last time they had like a pretty much healthy year because Derwin James is going into his like fourth, fifth year.
Yeah,
and he has yet to play football.
Yeah,
he has yet to play football. He's amazing. We know that because when he plays, he's dominant. He's the best safety in the league, but he never plays. And the same goes for their defensive line, right? Love Bosa, but he always misses like half the games, right? And it's just their team is always hurt. And even offensively, again, they have a better offensive line now, but their offensive line would always get hurt. Their running back group would always get hurt. Eckler last year, right? So assuming all is healthy, like, yeah, they're definitely a top 10 team in the league now with the additions they made and the roster they have, the quarterback they have. But you can't bank on any team in the NFL staying healthy, let alone the Chargers and their history.
That's fair.
I just have more confidence right now, even though it's more new pieces in New England, right? Like that you're depending on. And obviously the quarterback difference is drastic, whether it's Mac Jones or Cam Newton compared to Justin Herbert. But I think being in the AFC East, having Bill Belichick and just knowing the teams inside and out, I think it's going to be easier for them to win their division games, let alone against other teams. I don't think Cam Newton's even going to play most of the year. Not most of the year. I don't think he's going to finish the year, and not even because Mac Jones will overtake him. Just, again, injury with Cam Newton and himself. So, like you said, there is definitely boom-bust potential with the Patriots. You weren't wrong in that. Especially, like, my biggest question is more so in quarterback is their running game. Because if you want that team to move, right?
Their offense
it's not like
up holes.
You still, like, I don't care Nelson Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne, like, that receiving core is still bad. And if you want to, even though you bring in your tight ends, you need the running game to bring the most out of that receiving core. So there's still definitely questions. I'm not going to get mad if we flip-flop it to 12 and 11. But, yeah, as long as you have them next to each other, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's what we did. So I have the Chargers right now, like way ranked higher than PFF, and it's same kind of concerns, right? Because they should be a top 10 team. We just don't know, like with the injuries, even the new coaching staff, right? We're still not sure if it's going to work out. I feel like it's any better than Anthony Lynn, but like, how much better? Like, we got to see what happens. I feel like they will be much better defensively, but I'm excited for the Chargers finally. I feel like we say this every year, but now it actually is like a young quarterback who actually showed like massive potential last year. So if he carries that over and they stay healthy, there's no reason why the Chargers can't be in the playoffs and almost like upsetting teams, just to say the least.
So we're in the top 10 now?
Yes, I believe so. So I actually have the Colts at 10, I think, or maybe 11, wherever we are. I think it's 10 now.
I think it's 10.
So this is actually higher than I thought I had the Colts. I could definitely flip up a few teams. I'm not in love with the Colts overall this year. I'm not going to disrespect, though, Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. I do really like the way the Colts have built, so that's why they're still here. I feel like they do have a really, really good roster. The division they play in is not very good, so if we're going to have Tennessee only a few spots below them, I think that's more than fair to put the Colts here. But are the Colts actually the best 10th roster in the league with Carson Wentz? Like, it's going to depend on Carson Wentz. If he plays like he did in Philly last year, the answer is no. But if he plays like, before he got hurt and everything, or even, before the ACL, obviously he's like an MVP candidate. But even if he's just like solid, the answer is still yes, the Colts will be good. The Colts are kind of another boomer bust potential for me because I do feel like their defense is kind of iffy. Like there's some really good talent on it, but like for me, their defense is kind of up and down. Like
Yeah.
So, and obviously, they have a lot of young talent on offense, like Michael Pittman, right? Hopefully this year we get to see Paris Campbell because he kind of got hurt last year before he got to take off. So I feel like 10's a fair range for the Colts. I'm just not sure. Like I don't picture the Colts as like a Super Bowl contender, even if Wentz is super good. I just can't see them beating some of these teams in the AFC.
If Wentz is super good, I think they could win those playoff games.
Like even over like the Ravens, Chiefs, and even the Chargers.
Well, coming up now, so my range right now, it's going to be however you want to flip. Again, we're not going to be, crazy specific with how we rank them. But my next 3 teams for me, how I would have them, however you want to rank them, so not in order, it would be like Colts, Seahawks, Ravens. I think they're all in the same tier. I think they're all playoff caliber teams where if everything goes right, they could be contenders.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more likely things to go wrong in the playoffs than there is to go right. Like their holes are massive holes, and it could be their detriment. For the Colts, like you said, the defense is up and down for them. Offensive line is still great. Running backs are still great. Receiving core, I'd say, is average, right?
Yep.
So you really need Carson Wentz to be really good to bring the most out of it and get them over the hump, right? And for me, it's the same thing with the Ravens and the Seahawks. I think the Ravens, it's good that you got Bateman, right? It's good that you addressed your offensive line. You lost some pieces on defense. That's going to hurt. And I don't think just adding Bateman solely will get you over the hump offensively that you need to be over. I think he's a great piece to have.
Well, you have the Ravens now at 9? Or Seattle. You have the Ravens and Seattle like in the same kind of like
yeah, you could flip-flop them however you want. I won't get mad either way. But I'm just saying in terms of the Ravens, you still need, I think, like a Julio Jones caliber person on the offense to bring the most out of Lamar, and just because you can't keep running the ball when you're down 2 touchdowns in this NFL. You can't, because all it takes is one drive for you not to put up points, and then you are all of a sudden down 21 points. So
yeah,
I can't have them ranked above some of these teams. The Seahawks, it's the same thing. I think it's the question marks of, is Russell Wilson going to be here after this year? I think, again, their offense outside of Metcalf and Lockett, I know you love Chris Carson, but again, full season of games, he's never there, right? Call a spade a spade. He like 12 never plays the full season.
13.
He never plays the full season. And the defense, I still have the same question marks. I don't think the Seattle's defense is that good.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I actually have Seattle, though, before the Ravens. I just feel like Seattle have more like questions with them than the Ravens do.
Okay, that's fair, yeah.
Obviously, Russell Wilson's elite. Like he's amazing, even with all the offensive line questions. I actually kind of am excited for Seattle's offense. Like, obviously, we know what Lockett can do, Metcalf, right? But I feel like they also added some like wide receiver help, kind of like a third option this year, finally. I do feel like Chris Carson actually does make a difference. I know like a lot of us, we always make fun like running backs don't matter. Like Carson's the type of running back where he actually doesn't like, obviously you need to like open up holes, but Carson just breaks tackles too. So like even if the holes aren't there, he'll just like go through the pile. And obviously you can tell when he doesn't play because the backup depth isn't there. And whenever they put in someone else like DJ Dallas or like Travis Homer, the run game goes from like decently good to just worse in the league or one of the worst in the league. So like that's a clear issue. We know Seattle's offensive line. I agree. I don't really love their defense. Like they certainly added to it last year. Like Dunlap was a good addition, but there's still major like questions about their secondary. They lost like Griffin in the offseason. So like I don't think they did much to replace him either. And he was only average, just slightly above average. So like I don't know what they like I didn't really love their draft either. So they have to hope some of the mid-round picks. Yeah, so they have to hope some of the mid-round picks pan out, which sometimes they do for Seattle. Like we'll give them credit there. But yeah, it feels like kind of the same issues that have been arising over the last like 3-4 years, right? Where like the team, Russell Wilson can only take the team so far, and when you go to the playoffs against these teams who are much better than you, you kind of put them in like a no-win situation, and that's what happened last year when they got blown out by the Rams. So yeah, just picking on who'd you have before that? The Ravens. So yeah. I actually have the Saints next.
You have the Ravens above the Saints?
Yeah, just one above.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And
I understand, like, you can make an argument, like, obviously, like, we grew up together, so, like, even though you're not a Saints fan or have, like, no, like, affiliation towards it just because we grew up together, like, you support the Saints because of me when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of bias because if you're not a Saints fan, not that you hate the Saints, but let's say you're a fan of somebody in, you know, the AFC North, let's say, for example, you have no ties to the Saints, you have no opinions on them. You could just say you could put them in the middle category, right? With the teams like Miami.
Yeah.
You have a great roster around you and
Saints are
question
better
at
than those
quarterback.
teams,
It's
so.
fair to make that argument.
Yep.
But the thing is, with those teams like the Drew Locks, the Daniel Joneses, right? The Tua Tagovailoas, we've seen Jameis Winston play. Whether it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, but I think everybody agrees it's probably going to be Jameis.
Yeah,
we've seen him play.
Putting him at 32. So
we've seen him play, and I don't think he's going to have 30 interceptions when he plays this year. I think he will turn the ball over just because he's naturally going to let it fly more.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll open up our offense better. Like, even though we'll have more turnovers as an offense collectively, like throughout the year, I think that opens up a role for everybody else. I think that opens up the running game for Murray and Kamara. Just having the deep threats and having not teams stack the box. I think it helps all of our receivers because they're going to get more opportunities to show what they can do, like in terms of 50-50 balls or just deep touchdowns. If they were to play hypothetically, like obviously it would have to be a Super Bowl if it's the playoffs, the Saints and Ravens. I don't see how the Ravens could beat us because I think we did get worse in terms of run defense just because of the depth we lost, and that's a Ravens' strength. But if we are able to get a lead, which I think we will because the Ravens' defense, I think, got worse, I don't think the Ravens are still going to be able to throw against us.
Yeah, I'm not really considering matchups because you guys don't play each other ever. Like once in 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but I think they're a better team though, still as the Ravens.
Yeah, like I would put the Saints above the Ravens. It just like, and I love Jameis. You know that I was one of Jameis's biggest fans even before he joined the Saints. So I am rooting for him. But to tell me for certain he's even better or close to Lamar Jackson, I don't think that's like, I can't do that right now. Like Lamar, whether you hate him or like him, he's obviously kind of a polarizing player. I actually like Lamar. I like him coming out too in the draft. So like he definitely offers you like teams just can't stop him like running. And obviously I feel like he is kind of underrated as a passer. I'm not saying he's like Patrick Mahomes, but I'm just saying like some people
so talent around him.
Some people do treat him like he's Taysom Hill, which is unfair, like way unfair in my opinion. So I'm excited. Hopefully Bateman can be like an actual receiver, not like Willie Snead and some of these guys that he's been throwing to. So, and you know what? The Ravens did get worse for me. That's why I don't have them in the top 5, 6 anymore. Orlando Brown was a loss for me. I don't care that he wanted to play left tackle. Like to not have him on the team, on the roster. Like even though they added, what's the name? Villanueva from the Steelers. Like that to me is a clear downgrade, right? And for what they want to do too, because Orlando Brown was like a beast in the run game and everything. So like their offensive line did get better at spots, but I feel like overall, like they'll feel that impact. They certainly lost like depth, but they kind of always do with these like linebackers with Judon and
and they replaced them.
Replaced them. Yeah, the secondary.
My thing is when it comes to the Ravens is that I think that they have a clear ceiling.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're gonna win the Super Bowl. That's why I had them ranked here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, in the Seattle like Colts range where you could win a playoff game, maybe 2 if you're,
Yeah, the Ravens.
If everything goes right, but you have a ceiling like AFC Championship game. You're going against the other best team,
right? I kind of trust the Ravens organization because they're kind of always in the playoffs. Kind of like they know what to do if they get there. Like the Ravens can definitely go on a run. Obviously, we haven't seen it really since Flacco, but I wouldn't hold it past them, especially if they can get like meaningful impacts from Bateman and even Tylan Wallace in like round 3, how they double dipped. Now that's asking a lot for 2 rookies, I know, but like luckily we're not asking them to do it week 1. We kind of like hopefully it progresses over the season. That's why I had them here. I just like the loss of Orlando Brown and just like I need to see their offense work like passing wise to actually like put them in the top 5 if it gets there. Like maybe during the season we'll see it, but for right now I feel like it's a fair ranking, and I'm actually excited to see. Baltimore's passing offense this year. I'm not saying like they're going to put up 300 yards, every week, 400 like the Chiefs do, but they don't need to. Like they kind of have a nice. We just need to balance it out more.
Okay. Yeah, look, it's all fair.
But yeah, between them and the Saints, it's really only because of Winston versus Lamar. I feel like right now there's like a huge gap in my opinion. So my next team, I actually have the Niners Actually, no, I have the Niners. And it's really because of like Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. Like we know they have a really good roster, right? But we brought up the Chargers with injuries. The Niners are also one of these teams who are always injured. So like we have to bring that up when talking about them. And we're putting a lot of pressure on Trey Lance, assuming he's going to be starting by the end of the year. And even if it's just Jimmy for this year, like Jimmy, we're talking about ceilings for quarterbacks, like or ceilings for teams with like the Ravens and Saints. I know Jimmy Garoppolo made the Super Bowl and he was like literally one throw away from winning it, but like it does feel like unless everything goes perfectly like it did for them, like the team they had in 2019, it's hard to see the Niners basically making it back to the Super Bowl and winning it, in my opinion, especially if Garoppolo's the quarterback. Because their division got much better. And I feel like even the NFC just in general is also better than it was in 2019, right? Because I feel like a lot of teams got better. So I feel like 8 is a fair ranking for the Niners. Might be even a little too high just based on the quarterback play, but you can't really deny their talent when they're healthy. So
Yeah, you hit on all the points. So like you said, the quarterback thing I think is a bigger question mark than the Saints for me, which is why I had the Saints above the Ravens and 49ers. But that was like basically the same 3 that I had coming up next.
Okay, cool. I'm sure Markel will agree with these two. So my next team actually is probably the Packers at what, 7? Yeah,
Packers. Is that what it would be, 7?
Yeah, 7, I think. 7 or 6 for the Packers. And
the next 2 teams I have are Packers, Browns.
Okay, so let me see. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we didn't miss any. Yeah. So the Packers specifically, right? Because I feel like they always lose the NFC Championship game. Right, like Aaron Rodgers has a phenomenal season, like he usually does, assuming he plays this year. And for whatever reason, the Packers, like for that specific game, either can't run the ball when they need to, or they just kind of like they kind of went 3 and out too a lot in the last 2 championship games. Well, then they got steamrolled by the Niners, but even last year during the Bucks, they got steamrolled in the first half, made a comeback, and just couldn't get it done. When it went in the red zone. But I feel like the Packers kind of always do this, right? And I feel like they did get better, but I don't know, like, compared to some of these teams, especially teams like the Browns, right? I'm not like comparing the Browns and the Packers, but I feel like the Browns got a lot better, like last offseason and this offseason, while the Packers are just like marginally getting better. So I feel like they're still putting like way too much pressure on just assuming Rodgers is going to be amazing, which he will be. But I feel like they don't really give him the talent like that the Chiefs have, or even like the Bills, right? Or even the Bucks. Right? I don't feel like they're kind of that caliber team. Certainly they can beat them on their day because Rodgers is amazing, but I feel like they almost like I don't want to say don't belong there but I feel like they're like one tier below these teams.
My problem with the Packers is not even more so roster wise. It's more so that this is assuming Aaron Rodgers stays and plays the whole year for Green Bay. And even when you assume that, it's known, he's already made it known to his teammates and everybody knows that he doesn't want to be there and he doesn't want to be there. So truly, how much effort can you really put into something that you don't believe in? If you're going to be successful in the NFL, especially deep into the playoffs, we're talking about like the top 7 teams now, right? Yep. You need to believe that your team is going to win the championship. You have to believe in your coach. You have to believe in your front office. You have to believe in your teammates. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that. And the team knows that they don't have that, that he doesn't have that for them. So it's not even roster-wise. I think it's more of a chemistry thing at this point between Rodgers and his teammates, Rodgers and the coaching staff, front office. So that's where my concern comes with the Packers this year. It's not even roster-wise who they have or who they don't have in holes.
That's more than fair. And we still question. We didn't even bring up the secondary outside of Alexander.
Yeah, you still have Kevin King as your number 2, which is never good.
Well, we hope it's Eric Stokes by like midseason at least. Hope that he can pan out.
We'll see. Yeah, but
yeah. So just
I think we're being generous to the Packers because I do think that there's a way, even if Aaron Rodgers plays, that teams like that we just talked about, the Saints, Ravens, could be better.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So this is just us having honestly respect for Aaron Rodgers. And what he's shown us.
And the fact that they also made the last 2 NFC Championship games. So
yeah, this is more of a respect thing, placing them where we are.
Yeah, and to be fair, they've earned it over the last 2 seasons too. So like they've been in the Final Four for the last 2 seasons. So that's also kind of a thing in the back of my head too.
So I don't know if you're going to agree with me now.
So
the next team I have are the Bills.
Oh, so you don't have the Bills over? You have the Browns or the Bills?
I have the Browns above the Bills.
Okay.
So let me tell you why.
Yeah, but go ahead. You go.
Okay. So my thing is, when it came to the Bills, it was more so of retaining the great players you already had, and that's what they did, right? And you brought in Emmanuel Sanders, I think is, the biggest addition to the offense. My thing is, I think he'll be better than John Brown, mainly because he's more durable and he'll be available more to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So your offense definitely gets better in that aspect, but you were already strong in passing. Your weakness was the running game. And I know you don't believe in running back first round, but I think that's what helped this team the most is running back first round. And what they doubled up on pass rusher, I believe, right? That's what they did in the draft.
Yep.
So again, you can never go wrong doubling up on pass rusher because you needed the pass rush help, but I'm still concerned about the running game. You can't expect your quarterback being as great as he is. We consider Josh Allen like a top 5 quarterback now, right? That's what the NFL Yeah, right. So you can't ask your top 5 quarterback, unless he's Lamar Jackson, because that's what Lamar Jackson does. I think he's the outlier, to run as much as he carry that offense, because the only thing that opened up stuff for Stephon Diggs or any other receiving option was Josh Allen's legs and extending the play and, running for however many gains of yards. And you're not going to have a running game if you want to go deep in the playoffs. We've seen all the teams that go deep in the playoffs have good running games, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers would not have made it as far as they did if playoff Lenny, right, didn't do as good as he did in the playoff run. So I don't know if they could go as deep as they did again this year, just because I think you needed to make that addition to your offense and you didn't. And I still personally have question marks about their secondary.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was only going to put the Bills ahead because of how good Allen was last year. It's not that he can't do that again, but I don't know if he can be like as elite as that, because he was like super, super good last year. And I'm not like I'm willing to admit the Browns are a better roster than the Bills.
Yeah.
Like I think they are. Like the Bills have some really good talent, even like Tre'Davious White, but the Browns just keep adding like talent to the talent they've already had or gathered over the years. And I feel like
I think they have they're the top 3 most talented roster in the NFL,
Yeah.
the Browns.
Like I like even though the Bills offensive line is much better than it was, right? It's pretty good. I'll take the Browns any day of the week. I feel like they definitely have a top 3 offensive line. By far Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, right? But obviously I'm taking
You probably take the Browns everywhere except for quarterback, honestly.
Yeah, and probably
because receivers as a group, obviously Stephon Diggs is better than everybody on.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills wide receivers just because of Diggs, Cole Beasley. But yeah, if you want,
that's fair.
Odell comes back healthy, you can certainly make an argument. But
yeah,
Odell,
my thing is, we're not even like, this is no slight towards the Bills because they're still a top 5 team. We're not disrespecting the Bills; they're still top 5. It's just, we're talking about the top 5 teams in the NFL, so it's going to get dicey and picky and choosy.
Yeah, we'll put the Bills there. Because the question is, what happens if Josh Allen doesn't play as good this year? Like, what happens if he's still good but not like he was last year?
Yeah.
And all the rest of the questions are still there.
Okay, but so what place was that?
So that's 5 for the Bills, 4 for the Browns, I think. Yeah, because then we have Bucks, Rams, and Chiefs left. It's the only teams.
Okay. The Rams, I might flip-flop, honestly, with the Browns, 3 and 4. Honestly, 3 through 5, you could really flip-flop. Honestly, you can't go wrong either way.
Yeah, so I actually have the Rams at 4 and the Browns at 3. Then
probably. That's fine. Do you want to go over the Rams?
Yeah, just because I love Matthew Stafford. So, I try to get him every year in fantasy as like quarterback too. So like I also kind of like the Lions in the past. So like, I've watched more of the Lions games than I should have, because they weren't very fun. But yeah, just like we still have questions about like their not secondary. Rams, I just have questions about like their offensive line staying healthy, right? Like Cam Akers had a great end of the year last year. I like the wide receiver depth, of course. We love Sean McVay. It just, the Rams last year, like outside of Aaron Donald, didn't really have like an amazing pass rush. Leonard Floyd stepped up for sure. It just kind of like, for me, their defense was kind of hot and cold last year too, which is weird because usually it's very good. But like it was kind of up and down for me last year.
Okay. So again, you hit on the points when it comes to the Rams. And also we have to, I know you love Matthew Stafford, but he does have durability issues, right? I know he plays through injuries a lot, but he does need to stay healthy. And it's not like the Rams offensive line is a top 5 line in the league. I don't think so. I think,
No, certainly not.
So you have to be careful there. I just love what they have as an offense. I think the happiest person here is McVay.
Yeah.
More than anybody. And when you have a motivated McVay was already good when he had Jared Goff, and he knew it wasn't Jared Goff, right? So now you have McVay motivated again, right, to run it back. You have Jalen Ramsey motivated. He's trying to bring Julio in, right? He's like, I don't care. I'm recruiting. I just think it's a good atmosphere there. I think everybody, they have what the Packers don't, right? They have the trust and the belief and the faith that they could go all the way. And I think that's what's important. And again, if you want to put, I don't know if I'm just too high on the Browns because they still have to prove it to us. Like talent isn't everything, right? You have to put it all together. And we haven't seen the connection with Odell and Baker yet. When Odell doesn't play, the Browns are better, it seems like.
Yeah, but we trust Stefanski though with Baker and everything. So
that's the thing. So 3 through 5, you can't hate it. And then obviously the top 2 teams are the teams that just played in the Super Bowl, who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kept their whole team, which again, if you want to keep them idealistically, the team that won the Super Bowl.
I have the Chiefs number 1.
Okay. Either way, you can't fault anybody for either or. Yeah. My thing is with Tampa Bay is going into last season. So before week 1, before we even saw Tom Brady play, it was okay. Tom Brady, it's going to take time for this team to figure it all out. It's a bunch of new people, right?
Yep.
So even I told myself last year, like just looking far ahead. Obviously, you have to see how offenses go and everything. But looking ahead, I think I picked the Saints to win the Super Bowl because I am who I am. Mm-hmm. But I was like, look, I'm picking the Saints or the Chiefs to win it. But then the year after, like Tom Brady, after a year with all these guys and building that chemistry and with Arians and having the team together and the defense getting a year older, I'm definitely picking Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl the year after. I hate to admit it, but I am. Mm-hmm. And little I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to win on that very year.
I picked Bucs and Steelers last year with the Bucs winning the Super Bowl.
So like I had the Buccaneers a year out predicting. So I'm going to stay with that. Just I don't see how they could get worse after playing together even longer now. Right. So their thing is going to be stay healthy because you retained your Super Bowl team. But there was definitely the reason why I didn't pick the Buccaneers in the Saints game last year when we were predicting that. And I don't know if I picked the Packers above them or not, but
we all picked.
There's definitely. So the thing is, like, there's definitely a way to beat the Buccaneers. There is. Have a good man defense, right, and pressure the quarterback. So if you're able to do that, which honestly I don't know if the Chiefs will be able to do. The Chiefs are going to put up points now. They don't have to worry about Mahomes running for his life, running for 500 yards.
That's why I put them at number 1 because their offensive line is one of the best in the league, which is crazy.
Yeah, and they did it in 2 months. So that's fair if you want to put the Chiefs first. I think, it's the NFL, so like they could definitely lose out. It just takes one game. They're definitely going to be in the AFC Championship game. I think they'll still be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like they might win it this year. I'm
not too early. Yeah, way too early bet though is I'm just going to go with the retaining team. Like if the Buccaneers lost some significant pieces, I definitely move them down. But
I don't think
they literally kept everybody.
I don't think it's gonna be a rematch between Chiefs and Bucs. It usually never is. So I feel
no, it's definitely not. I'm just talking power rankings wise.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. Bucs are super good. If you wanted to leave the Bucs number 1 because they won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be mad at you. I'm just gonna add the Chiefs number 1 only because the Super Bowl wasn't really it's not that it's fair, right? Because
it's one game.
Yeah, it's one game, and the Chiefs were super hurt. Like all of their offense linemen, they were playing with second and third stringers in there. So it wasn't actually the Chiefs actual full team, starting team. So and obviously, we can't control that. It's part of the NFL. But just what the Chiefs did this year, especially with depth at offensive line, I feel like they've gotten drastically better. Right? The Chiefs carried that offensive line all throughout the playoffs and really toward the end of the year. And it really never became an issue until they faced up against Todd Bowles and an elite kind of defensive line, like pass rusher wise. So I feel like the Chiefs looked at themselves in the mirror, said okay, we have a good team, but this was our clear downfall last year. They just couldn't sustain drives in the Super Bowl. So they're we're not going to let this happen again. We're not going to let Mahomes get, or we're not going to try to get him injured. Don't have him running around. So I feel like this makes their all offenses are already unfair, but now with all this protection, they can even add consistency in the run game. And if he has more time to throw, guys like Tyreek Hill are going to feast like they already do. Travis Kelce. Obviously, they still have questions about their defense, right? They're not going to go 17-0, even though they could. But no team's perfect. It's any given Sunday. There's tough matchups every single week. It just feels like if you're betting on a team almost weekly, the Chiefs are probably my safest bet to make the Super Bowl again, to go back 3 years in a row.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, the biggest question mark is defense. And honestly, I know losing Sammy Watkins barely played. But You really need Robinson and Hardman to step up this year.
Yeah,
You really need them.
Hardman has no excuses now. This is year 3, right? And like there's no deep threats. There's no safeties that are on him. They're all on Tyreek Hill. So like he should be open in the middle of the field.
Yep. So that's all the teams.
Yeah, that's everything.
If you had to do an early Super Bowl pick, what would it be? What two teams?
So let's adjust this in the summer, just so we can see some like training.
Way too early predictions. Too early predictions. Give me 2 teams right now.
Let me see. So I'm actually gonna go Chiefs and Rams for right now.
Okay.
That's putting a lot of faith in Stafford and the Rams. So
and
I might
staying healthy.
That. I just don't want to pick the same 2 teams as last year.
If you really think about it, yeah, I'd probably go Chiefs and Rams too. I think like way too early bets. If you just assume the teams are going to stay healthy, that's what it is. If you really look at the NFC, it's really open as to who can make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and if Trey Lance works for the Niners, they could certainly be in the picture. That's a lot to put on for a rookie. I'm just saying if it works out, I don't think Garoppolo's going to take you there, but he could. So.
Because look, the top threats are not threats this year like that they were last year. The Saints are obviously, I don't think that like there's a path that they could be better, but you lose a lot of depth. You lose Drew Brees. It's probably not going to be better than what you were last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not as a threat in the NFC as they were. And then the Packers, again, like we talked about the morale and Aaron Rodgers, like they're not going to be as good as they were last year. So it's really Tom Brady's conference to lose. But there's still a way to lose it.
I agree with that because I think there's a very clear gap. I think like 3 of the top 4 teams are actually in the AFC, or 3 of the top 5. I think there's a pretty clear gap between like the AFC and the NFC again.
Yeah, I think the AFC is the AFC's top 5 is better than NFC's
like
top 5.
If you told me the Bills or even the Browns win the Super Bowl, like just tell me now that they make the Super Bowl in February, I wouldn't really be that surprised.
Well, yeah, the only obstacle for them is the Chiefs, but we saw this again. Every team is drastically different.
Now, granted, I would be shocked if Buffalo beat the Chiefs because of how they faced up the last 2 times they played. But then again,
the Browns.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how the Browns are going to match up now with their new talent.
Right, it's a new Browns team essentially. Especially on the defensive side of the ball, and you have a new Chiefs team.
Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. I can't wait for the season already. Now that we're talking about it, it seems like it's so far away, even though we're actually entering June next week. So.
And what we can start doing now, since we're in the dead zone of football, like we talked about, is NBA playoffs. We won't do it this episode, but
Knicks in 5.
Maybe towards like the game 6s and game 7s, right?
Then
the first round, we could do an episode just going over them.
Did the Lakers win last night or no?
Yeah.
So it's 1-1. All right, cool. It was at 10 p.m., so I went to bed. I don't know why did NBA have like 2 games on at 10:30 last night?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the scheduling.
I'm wondering why the ratings are dropping. Put it on at 8 p.m.
And the Clippers dropped down. Again, we're getting off topic now, NFL, but the Clippers are down 2-0 now to the Mavs.
Really?
Yeah, the Mavericks won again.
So Skip Bayless is probably going to have a field day today. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining us. This was fun.
Yep. We'll see you guys later.